I'm here along Upper Cross Street in Chinatown, and today we are visiting Bei Ren Jia, directly translated to the home of the northeastern people, as we begin the search of the best mala. New series, baby! I am super excited for this series. Mala is one of my all-time favorite foods. Like, I don't think you understand. I love a lot of food on this channel, but mala is soulmate level. Back in my darker days, I used to eat mala xiang guo 3 to 5 times a week. Back then, I believe it was the savory spiciness of a hot, freshly cooked meal that got me addicted. It was only later that I realized it was the capsaicin. A lot of people don't know this, but spiciness is not a taste, but a sensation. The component capsaicin reacts with our pain receptors, not our taste buds, in order to induce pain. The same receptor is also responsible for detecting temperature changes. Thus, when it fires, it gives the illusion of heat. Our body then reacts to the pain by releasing endorphins and dopamine. Endorphins are mainly responsible for alleviating pain, and dopamine gives you pleasure and satisfaction. Some of you are probably in front of the screen right now like, wait, is that why I like mala? I'm really worried that I might end up giving 3 plates like it's flyers in the letterbox. But then again, it's not like you guys don't already know how biased I can get. First mala of the series, let's get it. Oh, it's LJ by the way. I'm not sure if you all recognize me. Let's get it, guys.
Hey, thanks for watching the video. If you enjoy the content, the best way to support me is what you are doing right now,
Giving me the video watch time.
All of the reviews in this series are strictly unsponsored. If I don't pay for it, I won't talk about it, which means that I have to make money in other ways. Please consider joining as a member of the channel if you can afford to do so, or subscribe if you haven't already. Your support is much appreciated. And now back to the video.
Yeah, you're right. You guys might already be able to tell if you have been here before, but this series will not be limited to the mala xiang guo. We will be including everything mala, or at least la, since the numbingness is usually toned down a lot locally. But LJ, I like mala xiang guo, but I don't like mala. Said no one ever. So we'll be ordering the most prominent mala dishes in all of the places that we visit. Okay, we got a few dishes, starting with the Mapo Tofu. Damn, we are not off to a good start. Why did they give me 1 gram of spring onion? What is this garnish? Hello? Anyway, let's give this a go. First bite of the new series. We are off to a horrendous start. The first taste that greets you is bitterness. This means that the temperature control is off. Somehow, somewhere, something is burnt. It's either the topanjiang or the chilies, leading to this pretty harsh bitterness. At first, I thought it was the numbing peppercorn, and then I bit into one, but it was okay. Oh, by the way, I want to set it out early in the series. I love numbing peppercorns, or huajiao, 青花椒, 红花椒. Like that lemony taste that it gives, right? I love it a lot. Anyway, the bitterness. It's really jarring. And the bitterness is in the sauce itself, which then leads to the second miss. The tofu and the sauce are disconnected. You can see like on the plate, there are lumps of starch, like viscous gravy. That happens when starch is heat activated. It starts to bind the things around it, leading to these lumps. Ideally, with good technique, it should bind to the tofu carrying the sauce. But even on the surface, you can see like the tofu is as clean as can be, with like occasional spots of oil on it. So what this does, right, is make the tofu rather bland if you don't properly scoop it with the gravy. You can see the inside of the tofu is very clean. So when you don't coat the sauce properly, it's just eating blanched tofu. Also, this is supposed to come with some meat. Not a huge amount, but like enough to convey a certain fat flavor. Are we really starting with a dish with 3 consecutive misses? Maybe I don't have to be too worried about the 3 plates after all. Next up, 辣子鸡. It is very difficult to mess up 辣子鸡. Is it even possible? It's spicy fried chicken. Again, the spring onions are on ration. I think it's slightly more okay for 辣子鸡, but I think Mapo Tofu, spring onion is very important. And they have opted to go for the boneless version. Okay, anyway. Okay, we're back on track. Very flavorful chicken. You get the spiciness, you get the numbiness, you get the MSG, really strong tastiness. Exactly why you eat 辣子鸡. Because they cut the chicken to such small pieces, which is standard practice when it comes to 辣子鸡, the sauce is able to coat it very well. There isn't a ton of marination when it comes to 辣子鸡. Normally they like stir it with a bunch of soy sauce, powders, potato starch. But if you leave the chicken piece huge, right, there won't be enough flavoring for it. Not at the level that you expect of 辣子鸡. Also, they went with the boneless version instead of the traditional version with bone, which I prefer. Theoretically, the bone version should have more taste if you fry the chicken with the bone, but I'm not sure if it outweighs the discomfort in eating the chicken bones, especially in a dish like 辣子鸡where you already have to find chicken among the chilies. The fry on the chicken is passable. Some pieces are pretty dry, but I guess it's because you cannot really standardize the size of the chicken when you deep fry it. And it may also be 20% too salty. I say may because this is a deep fried dish, so like the allowance for saltiness is way bigger. Not bad, I like this. And to my last dish of the day, 水煮牛肉. This might seem like a lot, but the tan under of there is just bean sprouts and konjac noodles. Anyway. The beef is tender and has a nice and clean flavor. Tender for two reasons. One, it's cut against the grain. So if you look at the meat, you can see that the muscle fibers are going towards you into the screen. So when you cut meat, you want to cut against the fiber to break the fibers so that the meat is tender. And the second reason for its tenderness is velveting. So this is a technique in which the meat is coated with a thin layer of starch, and that prevents moisture loss during the cooking process. That allows the meat to be more tender, and you can detect this by seeing like the thin layer of starch around the meat, like this shiny, slightly goopy texture that isn't oil, which is totally okay now if the starch falls off because it has done its job in the cooking process. You can also tell from the unevenness of the meat that this is all hand cut, it's not machined. I'm hesitating to call this fresh beef. I'm not sure. Because fresh beef, when you cut it and then when you fry, right, it will curl up in irregular shapes. Whereas frozen beef, right, it will remain quite flat because the muscle fibers have already been damaged during the freezing process. But I hesitate to call whether this is frozen or fresh because they are both flat and curly meat, so to speak. I think I taste a bit of baking soda also, but not very sure. Oh, minus. What the hell is this? Never cut properly. This is a whole 3 pieces. How do I aggregate these 3 dishes? Let me think about it. I'll see you guys at the cafe. We are now at Madame Wu's. This was not the original cafe that I wanted to go to, so I just walked down the street until I hit one. And maybe I'm onto something. A latte, cold brew, presumably, or what they call porcelain, with a rocking glass, with circular ice cubes. Damn. I forgot what's the purpose of the rocking glass. Somebody tell me please. But this is cool, no? Rubber stopper for some reason. Cheers, although it's coffee. Anyway, recap. We got hits, we got misses. Huge misses like the consistency of the Mapo Tofu. It's actually a really big point in the dish. In fact, most of the skill is around its consistency. There's nothing much else to adding sauce to tofu. That's why when making Mapo Tofu, right, the 勾芡 step, the step where you add the cornstarch slurry, is usually split into 3 parts. You want it to give it 1 round, let the slurry sort of like mingle with the tofu, forming 1 layer, and then as it's gelatinized, you go in with another round of cornstarch. So there's a higher chance for the coating to be more complete. This was the total opposite. You can literally see the whole sauce just falling away from the tofu, or 脱层. On the other hand, you do have hits like the tastiness of the 辣子鸡 and the quality of the meat of the 水煮牛肉. But on my way here, I was wondering, why am I okay? I just ate 3 mala dishes back to back and I'm not perspiring, my lips are not pulsing. And then it hit me, the dishes are not spicy at all. I was so like absorbed into like detecting the flavors that I forget that, you know, mala kinda have to be la. And this is an important factor in this series because while some of you may think like, how do you judge what is good la? After all, everybody has their own level of spice, right? But from a restaurant's perspective, la is about accuracy. You must hit the mean tolerance for spice in the population so that most of your customers think that the dish is of an appropriate spiciness. So I'm not going to gauge the accuracy of the spiciness based on my preference, but rather what I have learned is my audience's average spiciness. The best example of this is McSpicy. McDonald's wants the burger to be spicy so as to fit the name, but yet still appeal to the biggest number of customers. So you can sort of guess they probably put tens of thousands of man hours in order to have a burger that is the exact correct level of spiciness. But I digress. Coming back to spiciness, I don't think the level at 东北人家 is correct at all. Obviously, I'm addressing the average eater. If you are a 小辣 kind of person, then it will be up your alley. The first episode of the series is always the hardest, kind of like you don't have your benchmarks, you haven't really figured out what to focus on. But we are starting out the series by using 3 dishes to determine how far we'll go to eat at the restaurant. That's it, I got my verdict ready. 1 plate I'll walk for the mala, 2 plates I'll take a bus for the mala, and 3 plates I'll go anywhere in Singapore for the mala. And 东北人家 is 1 plate. Okay with the flavors, but even at the very start of the series, there are some quite visible flaws. And I don't know what it is about their marketing, but when I was there, right, the only other customers, right, were tourists. Like I think there were 2 Turkish guys across me and another party that is German. Maybe it's because it's in the off-peak hours that only tourists can be here. But interesting, I think. If that's their crowd, then it explains the spiciness level. But to my tongue, it's 1 plate. And now comes the most important part of the series. Please share with me your mala recommendations. We will be visiting 10 mala places this series. We did 10 places last series instead of the usual 13, and I kinda like it. I think it's a little bit more fast paced. Do you guys like it? 10 instead of 13? Not bad, right? But yeah, we'll be visiting 10 mala places, so please share with me your spots. The success of the whole series actually depends on you guys. But for now, that's all I have for you guys this time. I'll see you on the next video. Bye!